They're literally trying to ruin the game. I don't understand these rule changes on what is going on. First, they make a rule on the drop leg or the drop hip tackle or whatever. They're taking that out of the game, and I'm like, can somebody please explain to me how guys are supposed to, if you run by somebody and you catch up to them, how are you supposed to tackle them? I just don't understand that. The next thing is they changed the kickoff rule and they turned it into the XFL where they're starting on the opposing 40-yard line and you can't run down until they catch the ball. I'm
Right.
like, what? CC, what is going on? What are they
Okay,
doing?
so let's tackle kickoff rule first because it's the easy one for me. Last night, you and I had dinner, and I was like, this makes guys like Cordell Patterson most valuable in the league, right? And I think the Steelers picked him up today. Am I right?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. So you should be ecstatic about these rules. It gives you a chance. But the kickoff rules, like what they're trying to do is reduce the amount of touchbacks. It was something like 80% touchbacks. That's extra time to go get a beer and not pay attention to the game. The NFL is all about eyeballs. They want you to watch it. So let's generate a return. Well, we stopped guys from running down and wedge busting. No diddy. And so what we have now is we want them to start 10 yards apart. It's essentially like a long running play. I think it's going to be super exciting. I think the only people that have a problem with it are the guys stuck with nostalgia because it's going to generate a better product, more chances at kick returns, bring back the importance of the kick returner. That's an easy one.
Well,
You
the
know,
kick returner would have been back. All they had to do is move it back to where it originally was, the 35-yard line, and let them kick off from there and say there's no more touchbacks or there's no more fair catches. And if you kick it for a touchback, you get the ball at the 30-yard line, which they did do as part of this rule. There's no more fair catches. And if it is a touchback, they get the ball at the 30-yard line as opposed to the 25, which makes it more of, hey, don't want to get a touchback. We just want to kick it high enough and deep enough, no diddy, to be able to play
yeah.
and have somebody actually make plays on the football. Making it a circus, though, and having people start from the 40 is ridiculous.
Why do people need an 80-yard running start? I mean, yes, in the 1950s when guys were running 12-second 100-yard dashes, it's okay. The speed of the game has changed. Why would I have to hold a block for that long? It's not worth it. It's not worth having stars back there. You might see in some situations now when you're desperate, you're putting a much better player back there because he's essentially a deep handoff. He's got a 10-yard head start. I
Okay.
think it's going to be exciting.
No,
Now, let's get to this other one that's an easy one for me.
well,
They now can replay whether the passer was down by contact or out of bounds. And I think that is a win. I saw that as the biggest win in a long time. There's a lot of times we got guys dancing on the sidelines, throwing it last minute, and you're like, I think he stepped out. Well, that's non-reviewable, or he should be down by contact. I love that the passer being down by contact or being out of bounds can be reviewed. That's only fair. It takes out all this getting extra cute stuff. I'm hoping Josh Allen gets flavor blasted on the sidelines. It'll make my life a lot better. I can be here, this fall, screaming hallelujah. So I like that rule change. Your thoughts on that one?
I mean, first of all, it was necessary. I think that's an easy
Right.
one. That's a very easy one to be able to review. I don't know why it wasn't part of the rule book at the beginning. So that's my only thoughts as far as that rule. I think it's simple. The one
Okay.
that doesn't make any sense is the hip drop tackle rule. That one is absolutely insane. It's like, okay, if a guy gets past you and you're running next to him and you grab him around the waist, how are you supposed to tackle him now? Because before you grab a guy around the waist and you fall down and you tackle them. That's literally how they teach you to tackle. Instead, now you're saying, well, if you get him around the waist, you got to hope that you slow him down enough to where you can get in front of him or to this side and then bring him down. That's
No,
impossible.
you can tackle him like we were all taught to tackle. We got a guy who led his team in the NFL on this chat. If you're running behind a guy, it's super painful. But if you tackle him by grabbing him around his waist and dragging him down, they're not ruling that out. It's painful because you're going to land on his feet, you're going to land on his heel. What they're ruling out is what you do to cattle, which is swinging your hip to the side and just unloading all of your weight, onto their legs. That wasn't what we were ever taught.
No.
First of all, getting your head across and wrapping up fundamentally is a lost art. So let's see how the Baltimore offense works against people who don't want to tackle anymore. But if you get run by, grab what you can grab and fall down. Don't grab what you can grab around him, and then pick your feet up like you're on a side cart of a motorcycle. Side cart, great pool game. But that's not how you tackle. And
Yeah,
so
but
that's
you
all they're
said,
trying to do.
but here's the thing. You said that the game evolved. Tackling evolves as well. Just because you weren't taught that back in the 80s how to tackle, we're not tackling the same way now. Guys are different. Guys are faster, bigger, stronger, faster. You got to be able to tackle in different ways. Football is dangerous. You're going to get hurt. It's not a matter of if you get hurt. It's a matter of when you get hurt. And I get it. People are saying, well, the tackle is 20 times more, more dangerous. Well, you know what? There's a lot of things that are more dangerous. They added an extra game to the season. The NFL didn't care how dangerous that was. So I don't want to hear that the NFL cares about safety. Hell, they're talking about going to 18 games. But then, but we care about their safety. No, you don't.
Yeah, but
you don't care about
math.
that. All they want to do is scoring has gone down for the last 4 years. So instead of that, of just admitting that the defense has caught up, they don't want to do that. They want to change and say, okay, now you can't tackle this way.
No,
scoring goes back up.
It's going to bring back real linebackers. Again, the game's just going to evolve. It's going to bring back real linebackers that want to tackle people head up, fill some gaps, not duck around a guy and put your arms around his waist like it's an old hoedown.
But that's not
the wrong words.
If the guy gets past you, or he gets to your side and you grab him, you're not able to get your head in front of him. That's just not possible.
If a guy gets by you and you can get to him, why aren't you just diving and wrapping his legs up?
How often is that? I mean, okay, that doesn't always work. If we're talking about sound tackling, is it better to just dive at a guy or is it better to wrap him up?
It's definitely better to wrap him up, but we don't dive at legs anymore because they don't even want to go down to the ground. You realize a hip drop tackle is really pro defense. Like, it's the easiest thing I can do. If I dive and I get kicked in the face or in the sternum, like you do when a guy's when he's turning the bicycle over, that's what you're diving at legs. They're trying to keep their legs moving. But if I can just wrap you around the waist and hip drop it, I mean, I'm sorry. And also 23 times more dangerous. So one more game is 7 or 8% more higher chance of injury, right? By my math. 23 times more dangerous. Let's get that out of the game. No. I mean, I also think that going into a pile knee high, what's my guy from Minka, on Chubb, I think that's crazy too. Get rid of that. These guys are superstars. They're the reason we watch the game.
Just put flags on people. Now we can't tackle. We can't tackle below the waist. We can't wrap you up around the waist. We can't hit you in the head. We can't hit you in the chest. We can't do anything.
Hold on.
What is a defender supposed to do?
You can't chop block a DN.
Pity pat football.
You can't chop block a DN because he's engaged up high. You can't go low.
Well, you've never been able to do that.
Right, but why when a running back's engaged up high? Chubb's in the middle of the pile. Does Minka Fitzpatrick go in there at shin level? That's kind of Bush League.
But if he goes in at chest level and gets knocked on his back, then what?
Then you blame the linebackers who let him go that far downhill.
You stop a running back. You stop a man from moving against his will. That's the whole point of all of this. And I mean, I just don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, look, I used to be a guy that said, they're making it two-hand touch. People are going overboard. They're not going overboard at this point when people say stuff like that. This is ridiculous. Now you're telling a guy, if he gets past you, you literally can't tackle him anymore because he's going to keep running. And if you dive at his legs and you miss, too bad, so sad, because you can't grab him by the horse collar. You can't grab him around the waist and fall down. You literally have to hope and pray that if you dive, you nick his foot and hit him and he falls down. If not, hey, too bad, so sad. You didn't make the play.
Or you could have grabbed some. You could have grabbed some cloth.
Scoring's going through the roof.
Hey, you could have grabbed some cloth, but why don't you grab cloth anymore?
Well, you don't put a flag on them if we were just grabbing cloth.
Hey, grabbing cloth was your last resort in the secondary. Trust me, I tried and failed at playing defense a lot. You got to grab some cloth. We don't have to do that anymore. You don't see any DBs out there with their fingers taped up because they're not doing anything. They get to just again, go around like a safety harness and fall down. I'm sorry. I'm out on. I'm glad the hip drop got banned. Let's rock. So
I don't know. I don't like it. At some point, we got to, I mean, it's all about offense, and I get it. I 100% get it. They want the offense to be high. They want more points, but defenders get paid to defend. At some point, you've got to give them a chance. They're literally taking the chance and taking their ability to play defensive away. Look what happened in the NBA. Look what happened in the NBA. They made all these rules. The NBA is unwatchable. It's unwatchable because there's no defense. Does the NFL want to look like that?
You and I both played on the offensive side of the ball. Let's ask some of our friends that played on the defensive side of the ball if they like what they're seeing now. You know, yes, if you're a great pass rusher, that's still the same. But oh my gosh, like there are no linebackers. Used to be this clearly defined middle linebacker, outside linebacker. The weak linebacker was a fast flow lateral guy. Now they're all hybrid pass rushers, coverage guys, and nobody wants to plug a hole. No diddy. No diddy. So, and yes, Kelly Bird, this is live. We see your comments. He's on a roll there. I think.
Holy mackerel.
He may be on his second or third Busch Light or whatever he's drinking. But Kelly, we got you, buddy. We see you. You know, we got a bunch of people in the chat. But get back to my point. Dang it. This guy's going to.
We got a poll here. Is the NFL rule committee overreacting? 75% say yes. I think they're absolutely overreacting. I think they're overreacting. I mean, I think it's insane. I think it's absolutely insane what's going on. Again, we see what the NFL or the NBA looks like. You want to go to that? You want to see absolutely no defense being played? The other night, there was a game in regulation in the NBA, 150 to 145. Yeah. 150 to 145. Defense wasn't even in the arena, much less being played on the court. If the NFL's not careful, it's going to get to that. It's going to get to that, people.
And it can regular season, because regular season is all about eyeballs. The NBA and the playoffs the NBA creates is one of the most spectacular events in sports. The NFL playoffs is going to stay the same. It all comes down to who can play defense. We know the weather gets worse, who can run the ball and who can play defense. So we're not in danger of going to the greatest show on turf or the air it out. I mean, we've seen it before, and okay, it goes.
Yeah, but that's how the NFL is. They put these rules in place. The offense soars, and then the defense catches up. And then they do more rules, and the offense soars,
right?
And then the defense catches up. And that's what we're seeing. This past 4 years, the defense has caught up. This was the worst year for NFL quarterbacks that we've seen in a long time. Defenses, they've caught up.
There is no faster reacting league than the NFL. They'll fix it. I mean, you pick the one. The hip drop is an arguable one. The other are all wins. The kickoff, win a challenge, get a challenge. Why do I get 2 challenges if I win? You know, I got to win them both. Now it's win a challenge, get a challenge. Kickoff is going to be awesome, I think. And then the replay rules. So I was in on what I read. I'll get more read up this weekend. But Big B, let's take our old man shaking the fist at the clouds out of here and say it's going to be good for the game.
Nope.
Okay.
I don't like it.
Fair enough.
I don't like it. But either way, I think we just gotta let guys play. Look, nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. Nobody wants to see that. At the same time, we all know that it's gonna happen. We say we want safety, but why do we watch football? We love seeing the big hit. We love it. I scream every time I see a big hit. And my whole thing, that's how you play football. I say the same thing every time when I'm screaming at the screen. And now we're getting away from that. And now it's even worse. Yeah. Don't tackle the guy. You can't tackle him from behind because lo and behold, he might get hurt. Doesn't matter about the defender. He might get hurt. It's just what you said. Guys can go at his knees all the time. On a play away, I'm an offensive lineman. I can dive at the back of his knees. They haven't taken that out of the rules. Why not? There we go.
And nobody said don't tackle him from behind. No diddy. But what they said was, don't tackle him like a steer. That was never in what we taught, and it'll be just fine. So we'll be all right. Trust me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then you're right. Rutledge had it right in the comments a while back when he said defense caught up because we had some piss poor quarterback play in the last couple of years.
Well, why did we have
Everybody's
it?
looking for the
There's a
next
reason.
guy.
The defense just caught up. That's why
Right.
the play was so bad. It wasn't that the quarterbacks just stink. The defense caught up. It happens all the time. But I love this comment here by man's man, John Claybon.
Sure.
NBA is becoming unwatchable because of the lack of defense.
Right.
I would hate for that to happen to the NFL. I would hate it.
Shout out to John Claybon. He taught me how to shoot a rifle, which is why I got a hog and no one else did. So again, his aging skill set may be at fault here, but he's awesome. But the NBA is unwatchable for the old heads in the regular season. And we all know that it's just about getting some eyes on and some highlights on SportsCenter. No one cares. But if he's not glued to the TV during the playoffs like I will be, like he has been my whole life, then he can talk. We're going to be glued on the playoffs because they play defense then. Those guys are the best players in the world. And all of a sudden, all the fundamentals come flowing back. So they're just separating the regular season product, the wheat from the chaff. You're right. For a basketball savant like my pops, the regular season is unwatchable. Playoffs, it gets real. So
here's the thing. Almost all sports have made rules to benefit the offense. Is that really what the fans want? My man, Matt Hasselbeck, yeah, actually they do. I don't. I like seeing defense because I like seeing competitive games. I don't want to see all the rules favor the offense so nobody can stop anybody. But unfortunately, it looks like that's the way that it's going in the NFL. Hopefully, it doesn't get out of control and the defense can still participate. Hopefully, that is the case.